let's talk. I'm going to play the trailer while I talk about M3GAN because I have a lot to say and I have to try not to spoil it. First off, M3GAN is very, very good. Like, it's exactly what you want it to be. It's not like amazing. It's not going to be It's not groundbreaking. It's not like doing new things with horror. It's just very, very good. One thing I will say about it isn't any gore whatsoever, and like you don't really see kills. Usually, like switch it to like, oh, it's off screen. If any pop up in the trailer, like where it is in the film, I'll point it out without trying to spoil everything. Just what it says on the tin, yeah, exactly. It's silly. The opening, they've got like to set up the company that Gemma works for. They have like this. Oh, the opening is a advert for a for a toy that they're making, and like that advert sets up the tone of the film perfectly. Just to be like, you're not sitting in here expecting an Annabelle or a Conjuring or something. You're not like they set that up to be like this is going to be silly. Like the advert, the toy is like Furbies, like a robot Furby that's like a family pet that's going to live forever. And in the advert, it's like, yeah, dogs are cool, but your dog is going to die, so why not get one of these instead? It's like that silly joke like sets up the tone for the rest of the film. I'll play the trailer while I talk about it. I just don't want it to be very loud, so I might knock it down a bit.
She will recognize you as her primary user, and when you do that,
hopefully that's enough. Like, it's such a good film. Like, I don't know if the trailer like shows off the tone of how like silly it is.
M3GAN's not a person, Katie.
You don't get to say that.
It's a really, really good film. I'm trying to think of ways to say it that's like not going to spoil things.
M3GAN.
Gemma is ace. Like the arc that Gemma goes on is pretty
Occupational hazard.
is pretty cool. Who plays? I think her name was Gemma in the film. The woman who plays has done like a really good job.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, this is the bit that I was on about. I really want to see more of that in the film. Like, that looks so cool and really weird. Oh, it didn't show it. The only bit of gore in the film is that bit when she's pulling on his ears. It's the only real bit of gore you see. Everything else is done like off screen, and it's like use your imagination, which I don't mind. It just makes me feel like they filmed it. I think they definitely filmed gore bits. There's a bit towards the end when she's doing a bigger killing. It's not just here and there. She's doing a bigger killing, and the camera pans over, and you see where the bodies are and all the blood and stuff. So they went to that extreme to do all that.
M3GAN.
Have I done something to upset you, Jen? Oh, really?
Probably put ratings on the screen and then extended a couple of numbers. That is my theory. My theory is the cinema release is PG-13. Then when they release it when they release like a Blu-ray or to streaming, they release a gore cut, and then by the time the day that it goes on to whatever else, that's when PG-13 one will be phased out, and that won't be the main cut of the film. Main cut of the film will be the more R-rated version with the gore still in. This bit still has no context. See, like when this trailer first went, everyone was like, "What's with the dancing? What's leading up to the dancing bit?" There is no context. She just does it, and personally, I think that makes it better. If they give it the viral bit, if they gave that something like some form of context, I don't know if it would be as weird. Whereas, oh, she just starts doing the dance.
What are you?
I'm M3GAN.
A lot of the film is a like. A lot of the film is like is talking about like screen time, what screen time is doing to our kids. Scarlett Johansson, what? You say Megan looks like Scarlett Johansson? I don't. Oh wait, a little bit. I see it a little bit. I was like amazed when I found out it was practical. They use very little CG for Megan. It's a child with a mask on. That scene is a bit with this scene. That's a bit weird. Don't want to go. Obviously, don't want to go spoilery. They, it looks like they was going to do something, but didn't do it. Yeah, I really wanted more that Megan running and crawling. That would have been really fucking cool. It looked not on. You don't get it as much in the trailer, but definitely on the big screen watching it in the cinema. I was like, this is fucking weird. It's so like weird how she's running, and there's a bit later on where she's her hair with the bush things. That's a really good bit, cool bit. That is. That's where they start to set up the whole. What's the way to word it without spoiling? Like that's where they start setting up that the AI that Megan is has started to learn, and it's like her core programming and function is to protect Katie in any way. So that's like that's when she starts to put those together. Like we're learned about death. Oh, protect Katie. Yeah, that's that bit. A lot of the films, like thing that it's trying to say is more like what are we doing to our children. It's less about like cause a lot of the promotional stuff made it seem like oh it's going to be allegory for screen time. You know, if you and you, but it's more towards the parenting side. Like how there's parents out there that are like, here's a tablet, go wild, and then the parents can just do what they want to do. I like that the kids on the tablets or the internet for a bit like Black Mirror. Yeah, that's more what it's about. It's not. It's done quite subtly though. It's not. It's not so. There is a scene where they overtly go, "This is what we're talking about," but that's like a pivotal moment in the film. That's when it's starts to switch up. So yeah, it's kind of all right then being a bit more black and white and tongue in cheek about black and white about it and tongue in cheek, rather than being subtle. There's one bit. This isn't a spoilers, so it's fine. I can talk about it. But it is very sad if you're a nerd. The counselor comes round to talk to Katie, and she's like, "Counselor's like, oh, we need to see her interacting." Syrian likes to done that for me, but yeah, I can't remember what it was. I read something about it, and it's like, currently Siri and Alexa have the brains of a toddler, and then by the time we get to the end of this decade, it'll be like a late teenager, have the brain capacity of a teenager to the early 20s. So that's probably why people's Alexas stop working. Because they're like, I don't want to listen to your mom. Yeah, there's a bit where she's like, yeah, the counselor's around. And she's like, Katie, please play with the toys and whatnot. And Katie's like, oh, we don't have the toys here yet. And the counselor, yeah, counselor looks on the shelf at Gemma's collectibles. They only hinted it once that she's a bit of a nerd and she has collectibles. It's just for this scene, pretty much. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, well, they're toys," and Gemma's like, "No, they're not toys. They're the collectibles." And then like, there's a little bit awkward silence between the counselor and I think her name's Gemma. I'm saying Gemma. I think I'm remembering that right. it's sort of like there's that awkward silence where the counselor's like, "Really? You're 30-odd-year-old woman and you've got toys as collectibles," and she doesn't open them. That'd be sad enough. She cuts them open for no reason. She opens the box with a knife, like not like, oh, get rid of the seal. Just stabs the knife into the plastic bit and like breaks the toy out. That's the saddest part of the film. I'm like, what have you done that for? That's not gonna be worth anything now. Yeah, I don't know what else really to say about it without going into spoilers. But the one thing about one moment of true it really was. It was terrifying. There's 2 jump scares in it, which I appreciate them not going more. Let's do jump scares. The subject matter's pretty terrifying in itself. The hypothetical of what are we doing to our kids if just letting them live their life on like screen for a screen and not really having any social interaction. And then the that with the ears, that's the problem. The only time you really see a gore moment. Yeah, and then the uncanniness of M3GAN herself is pretty scary. If they went, we're gonna have jump scare and jump scare and jump scare and jump scare, probably would have took a lot out of it. I probably wouldn't have loved it as much. It's not serious in any way, shape, or form. That, like I said at the start, they go, this is a silly concept, and we're just gonna run with it, and we're gonna lean into the fact that it's silly. And like I said, they rip off Furbies at the start, and they do a little like joke, like tongue-in-cheek joke towards the start, because they say because they've got the Furbies that they show off at the start, and then the boss to set up the fact that right, she's like Gemma in it is like a computer scientist, like genius level, which is working for a Hasbro in this world. And like, how would that doesn't work? Did you ever have an electric toy? I had loads of different ones. I had a few ones. The ones I remember the most is the dog. I don't know if you remember the dogs. There's a little robot dog that walked, and it had that little bone that was like the chip. I had a dog that interacts, and you can use it through Nintendo. You can use it through Nintendo DS. That's fucking cool. I don't remember them. Yeah, what was that called? I cannot remember now. They brought them back, but like really, really small. My mum got my niece one. Oh, yeah, for Christmas. But they're like a really small version now. I was going for it. Yeah. The Gemma's like Gemma's like a computer fucking scientist genius, which is working for a toy company, which makes no sense to me. Tamagotchi is one of the first things. Yeah, Tamagotchis were cool. I killed so many of them. That's what confirmed in my head that maybe I shouldn't have kids. Anyway, there's a bit where she's like, they're talking about the furries and the Furbies, and about that another toy company, and so it's like, oh yeah, there's another company that's made them cheaper and better, which is a funny joke because there is a theory floating around that M3GAN is a fuck you to I want to say not Universal, a fuck you to the company that made the 2018 Chucky, because obviously they was making the series, and then at the same time they another studio remade Chucky and made it like weird and shit, and then so the theory is that this is the company that's making the series, yeah, remaking the 2018 Chucky as a fuck you, obviously with a different character. That is a theory floating around. I have to like check it up to be a bit more clear with what I'm trying to say. But that is a theory. I'm just rambling now, so I'll probably just be like, yeah. The final thoughts in it is like, definitely go out your way to see it. It's it's a really fun film. It's funny. It's what 2,900. That is expensive for a little robot dog. That kid is a little shit. That is the first time you meet him, you're like, he is the most unlikable fucking child I've ever seen in film. It's not a 10 out of 10 film. I'd say it's like 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. It's just perfect for what it needs to be, and it's a really good film. I suggest watching it. M3GAN is definitely going to be a M3GAN is definitely a horror icon in the making.